Some people with POTS, long COVID, or ME/CFS notice something after certain meals. Their symptoms increase, they may feel nauseous, they feel lightheaded or unusually fatigued. Brain fog can intensify. This doesn't happen to everyone, but when it does, it raises an important physiological question. What exactly happens to circulation and the autonomic nervous system after we eat? And could dietary fat change that response? My name is Anders. I'm a pre-med student currently in my undergrad right now. I got diagnosed with POTS after having long COVID in August 2024, and I'm here to share my journey and my research that I've done into this topic as I pursue medicine in my degree. In this video, we'll walk through the physiology. I'll clearly separate mechanisms that are well supported from those that remain hypotheses. I became interested in this after noticing a pattern. So I was eating enchiladas with a large amount of sour cream. It was a relatively high-fat meal. That evening, I felt unusually nauseous. The next day, I ate them again. About 6 hours later, the nausea returned. That didn't prove that fat was the cause. It could have been portion size, dairy, spice, reflux, or timing. But the repeated pattern suggested a possible link. So I began looking into what digestion does to blood flow and autonomic regulation. And what I found was less about fat being bad and more about how the body manages circulation during digestion. After we eat, blood is redistributed toward the digestive system, specifically toward the splanchnic circulation, the vessels supplying the stomach and intestines. This is normal physiology. Digestion requires increased blood flow. The splanchnic circulation is one of the body's largest blood reservoirs. After a meal, a meaningful amount of circulating volume shifts there. If you're upright, this redistribution can reduce effective venous return to the heart. When venous return decreases, the body compensates. Heart rate increases. Vascular tone adjusts. In healthy individuals, this compensation is well regulated. In people with POTS and other form of dysautonomia, that compensatory response may be exaggerated or less stable. Many individuals with POTS report worsening orthostatic symptoms after meals, particularly after larger meals. This post-meal redistribution effect is the most well-supported explanation for symptom flares after eating. Dietary fat slows gastric emptying. It also stimulates the release of gut hormones such as cholecystokinin, or CCK. Because fat digestion occurs more slowly, the post-meal digestive phase can last longer compared to lower fat meals. That may extend the period of increased splanchnic blood flow. This does not mean that fat is inherently harmful. It means that digestion lasts longer. For someone whose autonomic nervous system struggles to buffer circulatory shifts, a longer digestive phase could mean a longer window of symptoms. For others, it may not make a noticeable difference. Fat intake stimulates hormones like CCK. These hormones activate vagal afferent pathways. The vagus nerve influences parasympathetic signaling. It also interacts with reflex control of heart rate and vascular tone. In a healthy autonomic system, meal-related reflexes are buffered smoothly. In dysautonomia, normal reflexes may not be regulated as effectively. That can contribute to heart rate variability, lightheadedness, or fatigue after meals. The physiology of gut hormones and vagal signaling is well established. However, the extent to which these mechanisms specifically worsen symptoms in POTS, long COVID, or ME/CFS remain under investigation. Some individuals with POTS have features consistent with mast cell activation. Mast cells release mediators such as histamine and prostaglandins. These substances can promote vasodilation and tachycardia. If mast cell mediators are elevated, they may amplify orthostatic symptoms by increasing vasodilation. Some people report food-triggered mast cell type reactions. However, whether dietary fat specifically triggers mast cell activation is not firmly established. This mechanism likely applies only to a subset of individuals. Fat digestion requires bile secretion, lipoprotein transport, and downstream oxidation or storage. Research in ME/CFS and long COVID suggests that some patients may have altered energy metabolism or mitochondrial function. These findings are heterogeneous and still evolving. One hypothesis is this: if cellular energy regulation is impaired, the metabolic workload of digestion could contribute to fatigue or malaise. At this time, this remains a biologically plausible but unproven explanation. It is not clearly fat-specific. For some people, a higher fat meal may prolong the digestive phase, extend blood redistribution to the splanchnic circulation, interact with autonomic reflexes, possibly amplify mast cell-related vasodilation in susceptible individuals, and in some cases increase metabolic workload. These mechanisms can overlap, but the key variable is system capacity, how effectively the body buffers circulatory and metabolic shifts. Rather than assuming a macronutrient is inherently problematic, a structured observation approach can be helpful. So make sure to keep total calories consistent when comparing meals, try to vary your macronutrient composition deliberately, and track your heart rate and symptoms at set intervals after eating. Try to note the timing patterns. Consider your posture, your hydration during that day, and your meal size. If your orthostatic symptoms are present, strategies commonly recommended in POTS care are adequate fluid and sodium intake. These may influence post-meal tolerance. If symptoms are severe or unpredictable, dietary adjustments should be made with guidance from a qualified clinician. When symptoms follow patterns, they often reflect underlying physiology. Understanding those mechanisms reduces uncertainty. It allows for measured experimentation rather than fear-based avoidance. The goal is not to label fat as good or bad. The goal is to understand how your body responds and adjust thoughtfully. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate listening to me. I look forward to posting more often and sharing personal insights that I've learned for myself, as well as some videos more like this that are more into the research side of what's going on with POTS specifically. So I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. God bless.